Thanks for tuning in today. In this portion of the show, we're talking about sales. And I've brought on board a sales expert because sales is fundamental to business, and it never hurts to get different insights from different people about the concept. We have the good fortune today to be joined by Thomas LaVecchia. He is the author of The X Factor Selling System, the sales expert's guide to selling everybody, and everybody has a motivating X factor. And you can learn more about the book online at thesalesexpertusa.com, thesalesexpertusa.com, and they've got a link to the book itself. So I appreciate, Thomas, you bringing your story to us. Sales is fundamental to business success, as well as the fact that everybody in the company has to be involved in sales. So I understand that's part of what you share in the book. To start, I'm curious, what is your background and what put you in the position to be able to write this book?
Thanks, Wade, for having me. And my background, I have a master's in business administration, and I've been in the corporate environment for 20 years, and I noticed various trends both in the sales training space and interaction with customers, and frankly got frustrated with what was out there, so that was what prompted me to write the book. So I worked in both sales, marketing, as well as operations.
Okay, and actually I want to drill down into that for a moment, because necessity is a mother of invention. I think frustration can be the fuel for that. So what were the things that you were seeing others do or that you were experiencing that, created that frustration point where you went, you know what, I need to do something about this?
Yeah, that's a great question and comment. So I started out in sales, and basically I was a natural salesperson. I had a great ability to connect with people, but they sales training programs that I attended, you stick in a room for a week, maybe two. They pound you on messaging, which is appropriate for the product, but then beyond that, they really don't show you how to sell and how to interact with the customer. And I noticed that when I would go out and sell initially, I was very good and was able to skate by, but I really didn't get that training and really get that preparation in order to truly interact with the customer. So that's where I really learned that there was a gap in many models, and I wanted to close that gap.
And if I can tell me if I'm on the right track with this, it's kind of like being a baseball player. And maybe you've got a great eye. And, whatever pitch the pitcher throws at you, you're probably going to be able to connect. But if you had somebody to tell you before you went to the plate that, by the way, he might throw a curveball, he might throw a slider, here's what a fastball looks like, that just would be exponentially more powerful, but that's the piece it feels like that you noticed was always missing.
And it was missing, and like I said, it not only spawned frustration, but as a salesperson, as you know, your income is variable. So not only was it having an effect on my livelihood and my mental stability in terms of getting the job done, but it had an effect on my income. So I really said to myself, it's okay, great. How can I go ahead and be in tune with the customer's needs and frankly identify their X factor? So this developed over time. It wasn't overnight in any sense, but it was something that's in tune or is in tune with the customer, and that meets their needs. So yeah, if you have a coach that not only is going to show you what to expect, but if you have a natural eye with it as well, the sky's the limit.
Oh, exactly. But so often in sales, it's the naturals that get thrown into the mix, and they succeed because they're naturals, and everybody else is wondering why the others are struggling. And it's because you're depending on purely raw natural talent. And while the X factor, like you said, it's about helping a salesperson uncover the client's X factor, everybody should be listening in on this conversation, although, like I said, we're focusing on salespeople, because everybody is always selling, and everybody in a company at some point is a salesperson for that company, correct?
That's 100% correct. And if you really think about it, even in your personal life, whether you're negotiating with a 2-year-old to go on the potty, or you're negotiating a $1 million deal, over a handshake, you're always selling. You're looking to influence or persuade somebody else. And the whole idea of the X factor is to truly understand their X factor motivates doing that. Finding out their motivation is going to be easy to motivate them and get them to align to your goal.
Yeah, and let's really drill down into that for a moment, because it's something that I try to reinforce as best I can. You have to be about needs based. You know, nobody cares that you want to sell a widget because you want to sell a widget and you want to get a new car. It has to be, why does that purchaser need the widget? You know, what is the need you're fulfilling? What's the problem you're solving? And you just really, to be successful, it seems to me, always have to come at it from their viewpoint. And it seems that's what you're talking about with their X factor. So can you really drill down into the importance of how we uncover that X factor and meeting the customer from their point of need?
And Wade, that's the essence of not just sales, but business. So if you're a business owner, and again, whether you're selling and motivating your sales team or your team, and as an entrepreneur, you're probably interacting more and more with customers than most. The key is to identify what their motivating factors are. And in the book, we talk about what is called the 4Ps. They are people, product, process, and price. So for example, people, it tend to be relationship oriented. Process, that's that old stick in the mud who likes it exactly the way they like it. Product, that's somebody who has product loyalty and they're loyal to the attributes of that brand. And lastly, price is somebody who's financially motivated. Now, we always assume, Wade, that everybody's financially motivated, but it's probably only about 25% of the time. The truth is there's other factors that are underlie or the X factor that truly motivates that person. And then again, once you find out what that motivating factor is, you can stimulate it and then close for the sale.
And I want to come back in the next segment to those 4Ps and really drill down into them. But you make such a good point there, and maybe I'm thinking it from the consumer side of you, but maybe I'm going to buy that brand X cola because it's the best value and it's the most affordable, but oftentimes I'm buying it because I want to be perceived as one of the cool people, as part of that clique. And if that's the motivating factor of my client and I'm trying to sell them on price, there's going to be a disconnect, correct?
That's a huge disconnect. And let's just say you want to purchase a product again because you want some sort of status or that brand has a certain equity or cachet with it, you would probably be a bit more product centric. So let's just say I'm selling to you and you do buy from me, but I think you're price centric. I might start out with a lower price than that you may agree to, but you would be willing to pay more because you want to hear about features and benefits of the product. So sometimes even you might undercut yourself by not understanding which P motivates that person, and you may still close the sale, but you may leave some money on the table.
Yeah, exactly, and you want to optimize your opportunity. So we've got about 3 minutes in this segment. Can you talk to us a little bit about psychology in that how can both a salesperson in their day-to-day, so that business owner, because often in a small business, the business owner is the salesperson and everything, what can they do to keep reminding themselves to put themselves in their customer's shoes and get out of, it's easy to get stuck in day-to-day operations. So what are some things they can do psychologically to keep them at that frame of reference of being customer-centric?
Yeah, Wade, and that is essential to any business, even more so when you're an entrepreneur. So for entrepreneurs out there who obviously own their own business, the first part is they really need to maybe have somebody do a ghost shopping to their business, so they actually run through the business and identify, hey, call, get the service, get the product, whatever it is, and then report back to that business owner and then get a full 360 view of their business. The reason being is they get to hear directly from the customer who's going to be candid about their product or service. And you know what? Maybe do multiple, just to get maybe 5 people come in and ghost shop or mystery shop to understand their business from the customer standpoint. So what I want to impress upon business owners is you are a salesperson because you're always selling, whether it be you're trying to raise money for a business or capital, or whether you're selling your product or service. But the key takeaway is to truly understand what motivates your customers and how well